Hey, what's up? So as you can see, Vision looks nice and shiny. Just put a fresh coat of Turtle Wax hybrid ceramic on it. Gave it a wash in my apartment garage using a couple of buckets and wet rags. So yeah, a bit of a pain living in an apartment, but I got some tips for very old car paint. So you can see that Vision looks super shiny, super glossy, and she is. It looks just as good on film as it does in real life. In fact, I think it looks better in real life than it does on camera. If you look down the sides, like, it's just gloss upon gloss upon gloss. But there are some defects. Like, I was feeling up here the other day, and it's just rough. You can feel it's rough. Also up on the side here, you can see that there's like a change in paint color. Back here on the tailgate, there's a little bit of discoloration. I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but in bright sunlight, especially down here, just a little bit darker. And it looks dirty, but it's not. It's actually clean. I just cleaned the car a couple of days ago. So it's just a little bit on and off. Like, it looks great, it looks super glossy, but then there's just certain parts of the van that are quite dull. Like up here, these areas tend to be quite dull. I'm not really sure why, but once you put the Turtle Wax hybrid ceramic on it, I think that has a lot to do with this car's gloss. I can tell, like, after 8 and 9 months when it starts wearing out, because it really loses a lot of its luster. Like, it genuinely starts looking dull. And then I put a fresh coat on, and then I let it sit for like 24 hours in the garage for it to like fully cure and harden, and then it gets its luster back. I got some tips for really old car paint. The first tip is to not go full on at like paint correction more than, I say, once every 5 years. Yeah, that long. Paint correction is basically just polishing it, putting a buffing wheel over it. There's not a lot of clear coat left on this van. That's why when I put the hybrid ceramic on it, it brings back so much luster and shine. It's basically acting like a semi-permanent clear coat instead of, well, just having clear coat on it. So if you do have something really old like this and you want it to be nice and shiny like this, go all out on a full-on paint correction once, and then just know that it's probably best that you just live with minor scuffs, minor swirl marks, things like that. But don't go polishing it once a year, because every time you polish a car like this, you take like a fine little layer off the clear coat. And if it's 25 years old and you don't really have much clear coat left and you keep polishing it every year, pretty soon you're not going to have any paint left to polish. So what I do with this is I try and protect it as much as I possibly can with the Turtle Wax hybrid ceramic coating. I try and keep it really clean. You would have seen in my last video, the tire video, that the whole back of the van, the whole front, the whole sides were caked in mud, because we went off-road. We did like quite a bit of dirt road driving and stuff like that in the rain. But then I washed it all off, and even though I live in an apartment, you know, I do whatever I can to try and keep this thing clean. I don't go to like one of those brush automatic car washes, because the brushes induce so many swirl marks. And it can damage your paint finish. And like I said, if you don't have much paint left, then you can't really fix it later on. So I try to do my best just to keep it really nice and clean and wash it really thoroughly. So I get soap in around the door jambs, in and around the tailgate. Let me show you. This area here, if you drive on dirt, is renowned for like collecting dust and mud and silt, and it kind of just cakes up all around the tailgate. But you know, I rinse it out first with like a little spray bottle with soapy water, and then I get like a wash mitt or a brush and I go all around it, and then I rinse it all off so it's nice and clean. So while it's probably not perfect, if you were to, I mean, as an example here, there is a scratch there. If you were to like look at this as a detailer, you would think, oh well, I can polish it out and things like that. I don't. I just keep it as nice and clean as I possibly can, and as well protected as I possibly can. And You know, it's not going to be perfect, but it's as good as it's going to get without having a full respray. It's all about preserving it rather than keeping it mint. So my tips are, don't polish it more than necessary. Give it like one really good polish, and then if it needs it, you know, if you haven't looked after it as best as you possibly should have, give it another polish every 3 to 5 years. The second tip is to always have it protected. Put some sort of like ceramic or wax. I mean, stuff is so cheap nowadays and so widely available. I use Turtle Wax Hybrid Ceramic. I've used it since the first day I got this car. I'm so impressed with it. I recommend it to everyone. Put something like that on. If you have the time and space, put like 2 or 3 coats on and give it at least like 6-7 hours from the first coat, and then you can start layering it up. Tip number 3 is to try and keep it protected from the elements. That's easier said than done. If you live, you know, somewhere where you don't have a garage and it has to live outside, again, you might want to pay more attention to keeping it clean and protected with the ceramic or the wax. But if you do have a garage, then you might want to clear some space out and actually use it to park this thing in there. You're doing yourself a favor, because you're going to make it last just that much longer. It's going to look that much better. Every time you look at it from afar, every time you get out and you walk away from it at a car park or an event or wherever you go, you're going to look back and you're going to feel happy because it's going to be shining back at you. And yeah, if you do get it dirty, if you do drive it off-road, if you get sand and stuff all over it, my fourth tip is to make sure you clean it off properly. If you got like ceramic and stuff on it already, you're halfway there, because it's underneath, it's already protected. Even though it might have dirt plastered all over the side of it, you can easily hose all that off and give it a good scrub down with some soapy water, and it should be fine. My last tip doesn't really have to do with paint, it's the underbody. So if you drive this thing off-road, on the beach, things like that, it's pretty important to give the underbody a really good rinse. Most car washes, automatic car washes, even the touchless ones, will have like an underbody sprayer. The unfortunate thing to that is they only spray for like 10 seconds. So if you have the luxury of like a garden hose and a bit of real estate, like a driveway, spend like a good hour underneath it. Get in there, rinse everything out, all the nooks and crannies, blast all of the sand and the corrosive bits away from it, and the whole thing will just last that much longer. Alrighty, that's it from me. Thanks for your time, and goodbye.